Following the injury of Joel Embiid, it's been a lot of ramblings about the 65 game rules because now it's more than likely that he's going to miss out on all of the accolades that were waiting for him at the end of the year due to non-eligibility for not enough games played, right? So a lot of people reacted. I've seen Draymond Green, I've seen all the sports media world or whatever, but I like Charles Barkley's reaction. So what we're going to do is we're going to look into what he had to say, and then we're going to come back and give our takes on the 65 game rules. So before I do play what Charles had to say, please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
But let me answer that question. These players got nobody to blame but themselves. The Players Association signed off on the deal. I thought it should have been 70 games, honestly, personally.
Rather than 65.
Yeah, 1 to 65.
Like 70 games.
But these guys have put themselves in a situation where they didn't respect the game and started resting and load managing. And the NBA had to do something. These fans, man, they get to see these guys one time a year. They're paying all these monies for tickets. And these guys are making 30, 40, 50, 60 million dollars. They need to play. It's unfortunate what happened to him, but I hear all these guys whining about, well, you know, he's not fair. He couldn't play.
It's a bad rule.
It's a bad rule. It's a fair rule in my opinion. 65 games. I told you. I thought it should have been 70.
Well,
Listen. First of all, I'm not going to go to war. As much as I love the players, I'm not going to go to war over individual awards. Because what does it stop? If a guy's playing great and he plays 50 games, does he get to be MVP? No, he shouldn't get to be MVP. So we can haggle over, like Kenny said it, and I said it first, obviously, 65 is fair. 65 out of 82 games, that is fair. And
So there you have it. So what do we think? Do we believe that the 65 game rules is fair? In my opinion, and I'm talking as a Joel Embiid fan, I think it's a fair rule, man. I think it is. I really do. I do not think that the MVP or All NBA, all these awards should be an attendance award per se. But at the same time, there needs to be a threshold of games played if you're going to get these accolades. What I mean by it shouldn't be an attendance award, it's like we have 82 games. Let's say you miss 20 games. You would still have played 3/4 of the season. So in a scenario when a player clearly deserves a certain award for the 60 games that he's played, if you've dominated for 3/4 of the season, I don't think you should be out of the conversation because you've missed 1/4 of the season, because that would mean that someone outplayed you or outproduced you for 1/4 of the season. So in the case, again, of Joel Embiid, for example, in my opinion, it wasn't as close as a race as it's been the last few years. This was the clear-cut MVP. So for him to miss 20 to 25 games, I would have been okay with him still getting the award. You know, so in my opinion, the rule, I would be cool if it got until that 60 game mark. That's a quarter. Because anything below that, the most games you miss, the closer you get to missing half the season. And then at some point, you know what I mean? Like, you got to reward the guy that's been there for the most of the season over the guy who was there for half the season or barely over half the season, right? And there's another thing about the MVP is that MVP does not necessarily equate best player in the world. It equates most valuable for the regular season, this regular season. So if we were to flip, for example, Nikola Jokic is considered the best player in the world right now. Would you change your mind about Nikola Jokic's status had he missed over 60 games and wasn't eligible for the MVP? No, you wouldn't, because MVP and best player in the world are two different conversations. So even for Joel Embiid in that scenario, we can still acknowledge the fact that he was probably on pace to win MVP, but won't get it because he wasn't there, you know, so it's okay. I also agree with Barkley on the fact that we need to blame the players for this at the end of the day. I see a lot of guys go on there and say, you know, Gilbert Arenas, and I've seen other people saying that it's a dumb rule. It's like, first off, there was a CBA that all players or most players, the majority of them agreed upon before the season. I guess they didn't really foresee that it would maybe put some players in jeopardy of missing out, but they did agree to it. And that rule came after years and years of load management. I understand people being injured, and as a fan, you can't really complain if you got some tickets, but then the player is injured and he can't play. At the end of the day, you got to respect them as human beings, right? But that load management that we would see with players being on the bench, in street clothes, on away games, while it's the fans that only get the chance to see you once in a year, and you over there laughing on the bench and everything while your team is winning or losing without you. That's just not a bad look. That was disrespectful to the fans and disrespectful to the shareholders who helped making that big money in the first place. So I feel like that rule could have happened years ago, and the league finally had reached its breaking point last year, and it was like, yeah, we're gonna stop paying these players who do not pay, and you can't be mad at that. I don't see how you be mad at that, no matter how you slice it. Plus, if you listen to the players, they love to tell you when it's convenient to them that the NBA is a business, that this is a job. So if it's a job, which I agree with, I don't know of any job in the world that allows you to not show up without consequences. I don't know about any. So the NBA shouldn't be an exception. Now, the only part that I really dislike about this whole 65 game rule thing is that it will affect your money. For example, if we go away from the MVP situation and we go to the All NBA situation, some people, if you were in the contract here, some people will need to hit All NBA to access certain amount of money, and especially if it's your first opportunity to get a max contract or a super max contract. We are talking about significant amount of money that no one, I don't care how much money you have, if you're going to miss out on $50 million, for example, you're going to be super mad, right? So if, let's say Joel Embiid, it was his first real superstar season and he was in a contract year, and that he needed to hit All NBA or All NBA first team to be eligible to the super max, and he missed out because of a freak injury of Jonathan Kuminga falling into his knee. That's not something that he can't really do anything about. It just happens, and because of that, he won't make the money that he deserves and he earned by his play and the hard work that it took for him to get to that level of play. I don't like that. Same for a guy like, for example, Jaylen Brown last year, who just was able to sign the biggest contract in NBA history. He got injured and not reached the threshold of gains, for example, he wouldn't have been able to do that. And this is the only part that I dislike, is the fact that it affects this guy's money for real injuries. Not for load management. If you're going to load manage through the season, then hey, bro, you can ask for all the money. But stuff like this, especially freak injuries, I don't like the fact that you get punished for going out there and getting hurt, getting injured, like you didn't ask for it. But that's the whole thing. Other than that, I agree with Charles Barkley 100%, man. I don't think anyone should be mad about having to actually play basketball to have accolades. I don't think anyone should be. That's not a dumb rule, and 65 games is fair. I did say 70 or 75 would have been like, oh, come on, man, that's kind of crazy. But 65, come on, that's understandable. Anyways, these are my thoughts. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. And more importantly, get in the comment section and let's talk about it. Do you like the 65 game rule? Do you think it should be changed, adjust, or do you just hate it? Let's talk about it. It's been your boy, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.